what's going on with Bitcoin? Short term. This may be what we're going through right now. A final accumulation before, boom, you go upwards, right? But again, that final accumulation shows that Bitcoin may be heading lower, maybe to that 24,000 mark, right? Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just stays before it goes up, right? But as we move closer and closer and closer to that halving event, Bitcoin will slowly trend upwards. It has always done that leading up to a halving event. And then afterward, boom. That's when Bitcoin, we don't know. How high it'll go, don't know. But as for other things like this, this is showing a triple exponential moving average for Bitcoin. Again, if you measure the previous bottoms, right? This is one of those like reversal indicators. You measure those previous bottoms. This is the time when Bitcoin starts really moving up, with the exception of that COVID crash. That's different though. If you didn't have that, Bitcoin would have just gone sideways for a little bit. But that COVID crash, that was asterisk because everything panic sold. That was one of those moments that no one could have predicted. But outside of that, this is the time to be loading up. And then here's also, last thing I want to show you guys from Glassnode, the recovery from Bitcoin bear signal combines 8 metrics across 4 areas of interest. Market trading above key price models, yes. An uptick in on-chain activity, yes. Is the market realizing in profits, yes. Do hodlers dominate the market? Yes. Yes. Also pretty good. Now, moving back to Bitcoin, what's going on with Bitcoin? Well, some people are bearish. There are still some people wondering Bitcoin needs to drop down to 24 to fill this CME gap. Okay, and this phenomenon has been ongoing ever since Bitcoin futures was released back in 2017. So, as you know, stock trading, they do close, right? There's an open and close time every single day, right? And with Bitcoin never closes 24/7, right? But that's where the gaps form, because when you have Bitcoin futures, the market ends, the price just kind of like stops, right? And it doesn't kick up until the next day when it opens, and there's like a big gap. Sometimes Bitcoin goes up, sometimes Bitcoin goes down, and then forms that gap. The difference between the last price of the Bitcoin futures versus what Bitcoin's current price is, right? And there's this gap around 24K. And back in the day, there was always this theory that Bitcoin has to move to fill that gap before moving up. And since then, it's been proven that's absolutely not true. But in the early days, it seemed like it always had to do that. Like no matter what, it had to fill those gaps before moving higher. But, some people still believe that is still a thing, that traders will force somehow Bitcoin to close those gaps before moving higher. So there are some people think that, well, since we're around 27K, 24K is not that far away. I just don't know if Bitcoin's really going to fall. I mean, there was a chance. We hit 25K the other day, right? We had a good chance to fall to 24, but no, it came right back up. So I don't know. I was never a believer of this. I was never a believer that, okay, it had to fill. I think it was just a coincidence that it filled. But anyways, so there are some that are eyeing that. But, others, they don't pay attention to that. I pay attention to this. 23,000 Bitcoin transferred from Coinbase to cold wallets as Bitcoin takes a dip, right? I like the fact that people are they're transferring Bitcoin to their self-custody wallet. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. You just don't know sometimes, right? And it's not just with Coinbase. I mean, Coinbase, of course, they come up in the news a lot because they're the biggest exchange in the U.S. And recently they did have this FUD about not supporting Gala's V2 upgrade or airdrop, right? But, it's not just with Coinbase. It's with every exchange. You just don't know sometimes, right? You don't know if Yeah, I don't know, in the US especially, like with bank transfers, right? Maybe that gets shut down, or maybe they go down due to an outage, or maybe they freeze your account and just shut you out, right? These are things that you have to be aware of. That's why having your own wallet is important. So you get to control that. And no one else can tell you what to do, and you're safeguarding it. That's the whole point, right? And the more Bitcoin and Ethereum and others that are removed from exchanges, the better it is. It makes them more scarce, right? Ethereum, I just covered a story about Ethereum last night. It's the Ethereum reserves on exchanges is at an all-time low, even lower than when they debuted back in 2015. Think about that. That's insane. Bitcoin is not at all-time low yet, but it is going down and down and down and down in terms of the reserves. And one day it'll be very, very hard to find any Bitcoin on exchanges, because demand keeps going up and the supply keeps dropping. And I'm not the only one bullish on Bitcoin. There's a lot. Morgan Creek's Mark Lesko doubles down on crypto bull market call, says Bitcoin flashing beautiful pattern. I mean, we could see it. There's just so many patterns, right? And of course, you got the Bitcoin halving clock, right? Measuring when the next halving event is coming up, April 2024. So even less than I expected. I thought it was a full year. No, it's only 11 months. 11 months. And very good things happen after the halving event. Okay, that's when we get that most parabolic and most bullish run for Bitcoin and for all of crypto. So we got a little taste of that, earlier this year. We certainly had a taste of that in 2021, but I would say that taste in 2021 was premature because of the Fed announcing that they're going to raise rates, right? So that actually kind of like stalled it. Otherwise, I think we would have had even a greater run in 2021. But I still think back about 2017, 2018, especially those last few weeks in early 2018. That was crazy time. And we'll see something like that again.